Now, Chase, before I get into the story that's on the list, something that I thought about, we talked a little bit off air. For those people who might be tuning in for the first time, I'm not sure they really understand just how eclectic we are.
What's eclectic mean, Ken?
What it means is Roadworthy Drive isn't for everybody because, number one, while we talk about mobility, and yes, we talk about cars, we talk about trucks, we talk about things that move us today, but that's not all. We talk about scooters and space travel and privacy issues and connected cars and insurance and so much more. We talk about the electrical grid because EVs are becoming a thing, so you need to know about the grid and if it can handle it. The growing industry that is electric vehicles in the United States and how many billions, tens of billions of dollars that automakers, tech companies, even software companies are spending to get into electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, artificial intelligence, the underlying software that's going to operate these systems, all of this together. And then on top of all of that, we occasionally go off into the weeds.
We do.
Talk about something completely left that even you get surprised when I can tie it back to mobility.
You see, mobility is the important word. And, I like history as you do, obviously. It's a lot of what we talk off air for way too long about.
Always.
And the more I learn about history, the more people, even from the origin of the United States, mobility has been such a big component that at any point, whether you're actually moving your home or you're just moving around the United States as you please, and the ease of it and the change of it through all these years, it's a big part of American history and a big part of where we are today, especially with the evolutions and changes we're constantly going through. So I think you can almost apply mobility to pretty much anything.
Well, think about this. America, the land of freedom.
Yep.
What symbol, what iconic symbol could represent America in one place than the passenger car for so many years?
Yeah.
The fact that it's sitting in your driveway full of gas, ready for you to jump out there on a whim and get in your vehicle and go anywhere on a whim.
Yep.
As much as the money in your pocket and the gasoline in your tank will take you. You can go anywhere. And we're talking thousands of miles across this great country of ours. The systems of roads we've built, highways, byways, county roads, dirt roads, gravel roads, no roads at all. You can go.
Which we understand why some of our topics might make some uncomfortable, because there are different approaches to how we might be doing that in the future to come.
Technology is both a blessing and a curse at times. And what we're talking about now is where technology is today relative to mobility, the many choices that Americans now have, and it does not really matter where they live. Used to be that technology first started in the cities and then eventually, maybe 10, 15, 20 years, worked out to the countryside. That's not true now. Now we've got autonomous tractors. Farm Progress show maybe 4 or 5 years ago, a major tractor manufacturer showed a working set of autonomous tractors that could be operated with the farmer sitting in his home, operating those tractors 24/7. They didn't get tired. They didn't get careless. Controlled by GPS. Even today's combine, whether you're combining corn, wheat, cotton, doesn't matter, are controlled by GPS. How they spray fertilizer, how they sprayed insecticide, they can control. They even, for a while, were selling drone views of your land as a farmer so that it can be, so that they can assess what it needs, the quality of the soil, the quality of the terrain, instead of applying all kinds of fertilizer everywhere. Now you can go back to the way it was when they first started farming and apply it as needed, wherever needed, which is better for the environment, better for the economy, and better for the farmer's bottom line.
And with all that too, the better we get at mass mobility type things, which other countries generally are better at, but that's because they didn't have the interstate system. Their cities are more together, closer to each other. And as America works to try and get better busing systems, get better rail, that kind of stuff, it helps everybody, because then we don't have to rely on vehicles to drive everywhere. We don't have to necessarily, if you're stuck in rural areas, you won't maybe have to someday use a vehicle to get out of there, which is probably a ways from that.
I think in fairness.
But it helps everybody if we try to improve our mobility systems.
I think in fairness, at least in rural areas, that we will have personal vehicles for a long time. Now, the issue is, how will they be powered? That's going to change at lightning speed. And then the question is, okay, they're probably going to be electric, pure electric, because I wondered now, I think that the time for hybrids is probably at the end. I think for the internal combustion engine, no, it's not going away in 5 years. It's not going away in 10. But its importance to mobility will continue to decrease in the next 20, 30, 40 years. It may take 50 years for it to completely disappear because it's just some applications that don't lend themselves to different types of power systems, that the internal combustion engine would still be the engine of choice, particularly in medium duty and on the heavy end of the light duty truck market, like a 1-ton pickup. There's just some things that, because of terrain, because of availability, because of severe service, that will be still a gasoline or maybe even a diesel engine, although it could be a diesel electric, just like the railroads. But we cover all of this. We even talk about space travel. We talk about electric planes. We talk about autonomous cargo ships. We talk about all of this because the future is coming up fast. And the next 10 years is going to be way more changes than the previous 25. In the first 20 years of this millennium, of this new century, we've seen the growth of advanced driver assistance systems. Right around 2006, it picked up speed, federally mandated, even accelerated in 2011. And even now, as we're going through, if you will, phase 2 of all these safety equipment that now have saved thousands of lives. And, depending on who you are, it could be either overwhelming or welcomed.
Yeah.
But the question is, as the baby boomers like me get older and we lose our physical ability to drive, the good news is that the future promises that we won't necessarily lose our mobility.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that is the beauty. Now, the question is, will we embrace it because we will still have mobility, but mobility will not be defined as it was defined for our fathers and our forefathers? My dad drove right up to the end of his life, and he was 83. I had an uncle that drove until he was 94. Yeah. The question is, how safe were they?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But as we get older and we lose the ability to operate, gas pedals, turn a steering wheel, operate a shift lever, our reflexes get slower in terms of actual reflex time at a given speed on an open road. Having the ability to have an autonomous or even a semi-autonomous vehicle at our disposal to take us around. And maybe even the day where we don't even have that at all.
Yeah,
where we can't
options.
get around.
Options is the biggest thing.
And think about this.
Helps everybody.
What we're seeing now, the stuff that we're reporting on now, not only would that vehicle be able to take you from point A to point B, but might even be able to monitor your health. That if you're having a medical emergency, you might not necessarily need to call 911. The vehicle, through deep machine learning and artificial intelligence, may already have a base spec for you, and any deviation from it may be able to assess it and get you to the nearest hospital, emergency room, whatever you need to help you long before it becomes critical. Think about that.
So maybe it was just that annoying sibling calling you and your heart rate got jacked up a little.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'd be more sophisticated than that. But that's coming.
Yeah.
And with everything that we're seeing with, cobots and all of this stuff coming, it promises to help the people who will let it continue to be mobile for many more years than they may have regularly been.
Absolutely. When we return, we take a look.